This house 100% messes with people's emotions. I think that's the number one game that this house plays, is messing with people.
One thing I know for certain about this house is that many people leave with a transformed perspective on the paranormal.
You let your kids go for a sleepover somewhere, and then they never ever come home.
Whoever did this had to have been a complete psychopath. That's totally unhinged.
Those poor kids. Just sleeping over and they get killed.
Poor thing.
Totally trying to tug on the heartstrings.
For every suspect, it goes so far, and then it's like, he stops.
I'm the Reverend.
Daily, I'm hearing things still about Kelly. All the rest of the suspects, nobody's talked about since it happened.
Maybe he was responsible.
Information you need.
There's someone in here with me? Who is it?
The entity I was talking with was growing increasingly irritable, and it was withholding answers, while the entity John engaged with provided straightforward responses.
How could you hurt innocent children?
Crazy.
You must have been.
You want to know what the answer is?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll never tell you. Johnny was right. It 100% plays games with you.
Stuff that happens here isn't something a little kid from 1912 would be doing.
I don't like children.
What's wrong with children?
I did not do that.
Maybe whatever entity is there has nothing to do with the murders that were committed.
I knew something personal would come up at least once that.
Exactly what Johnny said would happen.
To me, that's someone here going, I know everything about you, and I want you to know I know everything about you. Just super sinister.
In June of 1912, the peaceful town of Villisca, Iowa, was shattered by an act of unspeakable violence. Under the cover of darkness, a killer slipped into the Moore family home and committed a crime that would haunt the town forever. Eight lives were stolen that night, 6 of them mere children. Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, and their 4 young children, Herman, Catherine, Arthur, and Paul, lay lifeless alongside 2 visiting girls, Ina May and Lena Gertrude Sillinger. The gruesome scene, marked by shattered skulls and blood-stained walls, spoke of a violence so chilling it defied comprehension, leaving Villisca forever scarred by the shadows of that night. Sometime after midnight, someone slipped into the Moore residence wielding a heavy axe. The weapon of choice was believed to be from the Moore shed. They began their savage assault upstairs, targeting Josiah and Sarah first, dragging them from their dreams into a gruesome reality. The cries of the innocent were silenced as the axe fell mercilessly upon the children in the next room. The Stillinger sisters, unaware of their fate, met their grisly end in the parlor. The murderer then returned to the already lifeless Moore family upstairs, striking Josiah over 30 times and bludgeoning the other members, leaving them unrecognizable. Each strike was delivered with the blunt end of the axe. The evidence suggests that the walls and ceiling bore witness to this gruesome frenzy, marred by gashes left in the wake of the brutal attack. After this heinous act, the murderer ritualistically draped the bodies and the mirrors in cloth or clothing, closing the blinds and covering the blindless windows with some of the family's clothes. He then returned to the parlor where the Stillinger sisters' bodies lay lifeless. He put the weapon up against the wall, washed the blood from his hands in a pail, and then prepared a meal of beans and bread before he left the house as if nothing happened, locking the door behind him around 5 a.m. The next morning, neighbor Mary Peckman sensed something was horribly wrong when the Moore home remained eerily silent. Unable to see through the closed blinds, she called Josiah's brother Ross. What he discovered was a chilling tableau of death. Ina and Lena Stillinger lay lifeless beneath blood-stained sheets, the air thick with the metallic stench of death and decay. Ross then summoned the town marshal, Hank Horton, and soon the house became a morbid spectacle, drawing onlookers into the glimpse of hell itself. An on-call alert was issued. Upwards of 100 people entered the home, and the crime scene was tainted by sheer negligence. The town marshal let people handle the murder weapon. Souvenirs were taken from the dead, bodies removed, and the sheer disrespect only amplified the horror. The county coroner, Dr. Lindquist, was appalled, demanding the sheriff summon the National Guard to secure the house before it became a sideshow attraction. After reconstructing the timeline, authorities determined that the brutal killings occurred between midnight and 2 a.m., leaving the community gripped by fear and confusion. An inquest held the following day, with 14 witnesses being called to testify. Several suspects emerged, but were quickly exhausted. Today, it seems there is a tangled web of suspects, each with their own dark shadows. When we first arrived at Villisca, we met with the caretaker, Johnny Hauser. Now, I first met him when I was in Gettysburg in July, and I told him that we would be coming to Villisca in the fall, and he just shook his head at me. So I wanted to know why. We had him come down to the house to interview for us, and he gave us a wealth of information that we did not know about the case previously.
So my name's Johnny Hauser. I'm the Norman Bates, I like to say, of the Villisca Axe Murder House. I've been here about 20 years. I knew about the Axe Murder House, being a true crime fan. Walked down Bug Darwin day after day with questions, and he just goes, "You're here every day. You want a job? I might as well pay you to be here." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I did it for, honestly, I think it was $5 a week he gave. I had money in the bank, I was like, whatever, dude. I just wanted the keys to the place. And it took me about a month, and I go, "Seeing I'm doing this and I have the keys to the place, can I," he goes, "have free access to the house?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yep, whatever." And that's what started all of it.
There were approximately 5 suspects in this case. However, there were only 2 that were heavily discussed. So naturally, we decided to ask Johnny who he thought committed these murders.
The $1 million question: who do I think committed the murders? Reverend Kelly has so many check marks. I mean, he was schizophrenic. He was here. He was 2 blocks up the street. He confessed to it. He hated little kids. Just like, how do you hate little kids? Like, do you hate balloons and happiness too? He told people on the train before they found the bodies. He turns in a bloody shirt to be dry cleaned. He comes back inserting himself into the investigations like he's a detective. I found old notes where 1925, he was arrested for trying to draw a little girl naked. It's totally gross. They arrest him. He goes, I didn't kill people in Villisca. They're like, what? You're arrested for this. Years later, he gets arrested again for trying to get his stenographer to type his sermons naked. He goes, I didn't get arrested in Villisca. I'm too short to have left axe marks in the ceiling. And these people are like, that's super specific. So they looked it up and they got a hold of Montgomery County Sheriff, wired to him, hey, we get this guy and he said this. Never got a reply back from the sheriff whatsoever. I found a note where a lady wakes up in the middle of the night to use a restroom in South Dakota again. And Kelly's just sitting at her kitchen table in the dark. She's like, hi, can I help you? He goes, the killer in Villisca made a big mistake and how the killer has a compulsion to do it. He can't help it. Therefore, we should all pity this poor guy. We should really feel sorry for him, everyone. I'm like, who's going to say we should pity a guy that killed 6 kids with an axe? Like, none of my friends. And I thought, one person is the one who did it, you know? There's a lady in town, and I think I've told one person this. Lady in town came to me, and she goes, did you know so-and-so? He was 100-some-year-old guy in town. I'm like, no, I never knew him. She goes, oh, he was honest to a fault. Like, he would tell you just straight up what he thought. He said that he told her decades ago that before Reverend Kelly died, they got a letter from New York City from Reverend Kelly confessing to it, and they burned the letter. Now, there's 2 things that stand out in this whole story. So, nobody knows what happened to Kelly. Everybody thought he went to England to write a book about it. We hired genealogists to track him down. Everywhere he went, he changed his name and occupation, which is suspect. But his wife's name was still the same, so they tracked his wife to New York City. And this lady didn't know that. This guy didn't know that. We just found that out a couple years ago. Everybody in town thought F.F. Jones did it, to the point where Jones was Methodist, the Moores were Presbyterian. There was such a divide in town that Methodist kids weren't allowed to play with Presbyterian kids. Jones was fired from his own bank because they didn't want to divide the town's money. It's like a Hatfield and McCoy type thing. That finally ended, and I think in the Presbyterians' minds, they're like, Kelly's in hell paying for his sins. Do we just burn this, or risk reigniting this feud again? So, like, that just makes sense. Like, we're still hearing things with Reverend Kelly. I just found out again, he was here for 3 days that weekend. Friday night, he stayed with the lady in town. They ate dinner, and the mom stayed awake the whole night in front of the kids' room. She was freaked out about Kelly. That Saturday, a guy's sleeping in town. He hears a ruckus outside. He looks, sees a figure standing by his garage, and he's like, is that a person? Then he realizes his wife's undressing upstairs. So he goes out chasing after this person, is Reverend Kelly. So, like, daily I'm hearing things still about Kelly. All the rest of the suspects, nobody's talked about since it happened.
Yeah. And for, like, the evidence that comes through here, it goes back to Reverend Kelly usually? Yeah. Everybody, the minister, Reverend Kelly. Kelly was bisexual at the time, which, who cares, you know, but 100 years ago, a minister that's schizophrenic having these bisexual thoughts that he doesn't understand, like, that just had to create a war in his head. And the only reason I even bring it up is Jeffrey Dahmer was wrestling with that in the 70s.
Yeah.
And everybody was doing everybody in the 70s. Like, cocaine was wild, you know, like,
Yeah.
But 100 years before that, you know, it's all the perfect storm.
I always leaned more towards Reverend Kelly being the murderer, and I was even more convinced after speaking with Johnny. However, Tara wasn't as convinced as I was, so we decided to ask him about the drifter.
So Henry's behavior was very similar to a lot of other serial killers. He was a troubled child, he had an obsession with morgues, and he even kept a scrapbook of murders from the age of 8. He was responsible for killing both his mother and his grandmother with an axe, and he was responsible for approximately 22 murders between 1910 to 1919. And some of these cases were very similar to what happened at the Villisca Axe Murder House.
So the man from the train idea, the lady who wrote the thesis on that came down, and I believe that 100%. It's like, this is it, totally. This lady comes down, she goes, I wrote the thesis on the man from the train. She goes, as a college kid, I came up with the idea. She's like, I don't know why I put it on mine, just being a dumb college kid. She goes, years later, I get an email, hey, we read your thesis. We wrote a book about it. Here's an autographed copy. And this lady's like, show me the money. Like, autographed copy, you know? But this lady who wrote the thesis doesn't even believe it. She just thought it was an interesting idea. And that was kind of a gut punch for me. I'm like, no. So I researched further. Paola, Kansas, Monmouth, Illinois, Colorado Springs, Colorado. These places that had similar murders. Law enforcement knew about this. They all came here to have like a 3-day meeting with the police in Villisca to see if it was connected. And they left going, probably not. And I'm like, oh, they missed something. Those idiots missed something. Then I had to check myself. I'm like, they were here. Maybe I missed something, you know? So, like the idea of, and there were a lot of similarities. One of which, the oil lamps with the wicks ripped in half. Well, whoever did these murders didn't invent that. People used to do that. You light half of it, it's kind of bright. You light all of it, it's really bright. You know, that was just something that people did back then that we have forgotten about because we don't use oil lamps, you know. So then, but I mean, there's still a lot of similarities. I'm not totally convinced it wasn't, you know. So that for every suspect, it goes so far, and it's like, it stops.
The story of this man was so compelling that even Johnny wanted to believe it himself. It serves as a reminder as to why this case remains unsolved to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally convinced that, but all that kind of changed my mind a little bit. But you can't dispute Reverend Kelly's killers, and the criminal element back in those days was very much women and children you don't mess with. I mean, today, children you don't mess with. Back then, you know, it was the Titanic thing, women and children first. Killers and the criminal element would not dare touch women and children. That was just a code. It was off limits. You couldn't pay someone enough to do that. So whoever did this had to have been a complete psychopath that's totally unhinged. It goes back to Kelly.
Despite relentless investigations and a series of suspects, the case went cold, leaving a shroud of mystery over Villisca. In 1990, the house was restored by Martha and Gavin Lynn as a living museum, inviting visitors to step into its haunted history. Reports of eerie phenomena soon flooded in: strange fog, ghostly orbs, EVPs, and even children being seen playing with an unseen entity in the parlor where tragedy once reigned. Visitors claimed to feel the presence of both victims and the killer, with some encountering very unsettling experiences.
I don't think anyone to do with the families here whatsoever. And I make a lot of Axe House purists mad with that comment. But the stuff that happens here isn't something a little kid from 1912 would be doing. Like, this is very typical. Had a guy from by himself gets an EVP of a woman saying a woman's name. And I ask, he plays it for me, and I'm like, that doesn't ring a bell historically. I'll have to check into it. He goes, no, that was his girlfriend's name 33 years ago in Texas, who's still alive. I'm like, what? Next day, YouTubers from Maryland, same thing, name from their past, super personal. To me, that's something here going, I know everything about you, and I want you to know I know everything about you. Just super sinister. I've never got anything from Joe Moore. I've never heard anything at all in the 20 years I've been here from him. A lot of people may get the mom, that was popular for a little bit, or Ina and Lena Catherine, Which I think if they're here, it's probably residual. But I think stuff's just been invited in here. Who knows what's hanging out with you guys? You know? That you come here and they're like, oh, this is banging, man. I'm going to hang out here for a couple weeks. The whole area, Sack and Fox burying ground. Who knows what's up with that? There's been a ton of other weird murders in this town. That just, in fact, right outside of town after this happened, a guy eats dinner with his family, goes out, grabs a club, clubs him to death, proceeds to sit on his front porch and tries to saw his own head off. In the town square, a guy stabbed his wife, screaming she must die in German. A woman's quilting and burns to death. How does that happen? Like, that's a fast needle point, you know, like how does that even happen? Guy who jumped in a 60-foot well to die. Guy hung himself from one of the buildings in town, but he did it on the outside of the building, so everybody driving by would see his body hanging out there.
As you can see, Villisca the town is a dark place in general. It's not just the house. You wouldn't expect it driving through this quaint little town that there was so much darkness hidden underneath it.
One thing I know for certain about this house is that many people leave with a transformed perspective on the paranormal. It will affect you in ways you can't even imagine. This house has influence on you.
This house 100% messes with people's emotions. I think that's the number one game that this house plays, is messing with people. I have 20 years of notes of so-and-so got in a fight with so-and-so. It's like the house tried splitting the team up. It's like a very Amityville mental manipulation thing. What you think about the Amityville case, Ronald DeFeo killed 6 members of his family with a rifle. Nobody wakes up. Here, let's just say Reverend Kelly did it. Reverend Kelly kills 8 people with an axe. No one wakes up. Reverend Kelly said a shadow gave him the axe and he felt like he's led beyond his own control. Ronald DeFeo said a shadow gave him the weapon, told him to kill. He's changed it a million times since then, but that was like his first. Amityville, Native American burying ground. They'd bury their enemies face down in shallow graves, so they were doomed to walk the earth. Darwin told me 20 years ago, Sack and Fox in this area would bury their enemies face down in shallow graves, so they were doomed to walk the earth. And there's so many similarities with this, the Amityville case, down to the freaking windows in the attic. So this place is very mental manipulation, and I tell everybody, it's like buddy system. Somebody starts getting weird, like, go take a break. Go get a candy bar, you know. You'll have to give it 110%. Every time I've been here with a group of people, we'll be sitting down here talking. And it's always a female. She'll get up and just like start walking upstairs. And like, what is she doing? You know, it's like, nobody wants to walk upstairs alone. It's terrifying. Like, what? And we'll be like, you know, hold on, we'll all go up there. And then afterwards, she's like, yeah, I don't know why I wanted to do that. I've seen it happen again and again and again and again and again. This place likes to get in your mind and influence you to do things. The guy that shoved a knife through his chest, 2014 in that room. Why would he do that? He takes a knife and just, he's life lighted out of here. And that was the second time somebody stabbed themselves in here. Which is like, first time, that's weird. Second time, this is a pattern. You know, it'll happen again, I'm sure. I hope not, but it's a pattern of this house. It likes to manipulate you and get you to do things, and which is super creepy. So, I had a friend from Chicago staying the weekend at my house, and I'm just right next door. So, nobody's over here, and we're just going to have some beers on my front porch, you know. It's like, let's set up all of our equipment in the house. Just let it run by itself all night. Nobody investigating. So we set it all up, and we have some walkie-talkies. So it's like, oh, let's put one over here, one at my porch. And every once in a while, we'll just, hey, see if it reacts to it, you know. So we're sitting on my porch, and the walkie over there goes, doo-doo-doo, which means the one over here keyed off. I'm like, What? So we get to listening. You can hear ambient noise of the heaters running over here. It's like, oh, push the page button. That'll make this one in here go beep, 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 beep. And the only way to shut this off is a little pinhole thing with a paper clip. So we hit that. Me and my friend from Chicago on the back porch, and we're listening. You can hear beep, beep, beep in the house, and then you hear down the steps, and it stops. And we're like, no way. So we run over there, we hit it again, and we tell everyone on the porch, like, you gotta listen to this. So we all come over, and there's probably 15 people on the back porch. You can hear beep, 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 beep in the house. Underneath the porch, something goes whack. It hit the bottom of the porch. The porch exploded. People went running everywhere. My buddy from Chicago pushed his wife down, and he was first back to my house. And we ended up the next day getting all the equipment and going through audio, the recorders in here, captured all of it. Another day, the cleaning lady came in. She cleaned the house. I came in. It looked good. Here's your money. Thank you. An hour later, I came back. Every door and drawer was open in the house with dominoes stacked on top of it.
What?
Yeah. And that was like, I was like, what the? That's why I ended up getting cameras outside. It's like, is somebody messing with me? Oh, I got the keys. Nobody's coming around here. Yeah, like the kids' room closet. That door moves all the time. There's dominoes stacked on top of it. No idea. No. I have 20 years of weird stories like that. Anytime somebody stays the night for the first time at the Axe House, I'm just like, why? Why are you doing this? You know, there's a lot of other haunted places that are this crazy, you know, but I get it. I really think that whatever was in here preys on people and tries to manipulate them. If Reverend Kelly did it, it manipulated him. The guy that stabbed himself in here, it manipulated him. I've been in here to where I'm pushing the issue, I'm investigating, I'm trying to get things to happen. All of a sudden, I'll be walking and I'll do the, what am I doing? Like, you just start zoning out, and that's my cue of get out.
The Villisca Axe Murder House still remains today. Its secrets buried within the walls, and the mystery of that night endures an unanswered riddle that leaves us to wonder, what was the true motive behind the incident? And what restless forces may still dwell in its shadows?
Everybody's on their own path in this field to figure out what you want to figure out, And say tonight you have a ton of stuff happen, but you don't. I think it's like a choose your own adventure book. It's like, that just means tonight was your night, specific for your journey.
After everything Johnny told us, we were ready to begin our investigation.
As we've done many times before, we decided to start with the portal session in what we believed was the heart of the house.
Based on the responses we were receiving, this session quickly became a discussion about who the murderer could have been and other possible theories about the haunting.
My name's Tara.
I'm Paige.
My name's Rhonda.
I'm John.
My name's Sherry.
I just heard a girl.
I heard that too right here. Can you give her instruction?
Interest? Are you interested in us? It's our first time here.
Pentagon.
It's me.
Who are we speaking with?
Can you tell us what happened here in this house?
A long time ago.
I thought I heard something family.
Do you know who hurt the family in this house? Can you tell us how many children there were that night here, sleeping?
That's him, it said. Who are you referring to? Is it the telephone? There's an old phone out there.
There is an old phone out there.
Are you standing in the kitchen by the phone? Heard whispers in the kitchen.
What was the name of the family who lived here in this home?
We're
Killed.
killed, if that's what it said.
They were.
Can you tell us how they were killed?
I wonder. Because he says that.
That was a very
maniacal laugh.
Yeah.
He says that he doesn't think the kids are here. I wonder.
He just said I do.
I wonder if whatever dark thing is in the house mimics kids to make you feel bad for them, and
Maybe.
that's what I'm.
Then they can take advantage of you.
Exactly, make you feel sympathy, but really,
But who's doing
I feel
that?
chills everywhere right
whatever dark thing is in this house.
now. Like every part of my body
They
has a
exist.
goosebump on it.
Yeah.
So there's a dark spirit in this house?
Definitely.
Yes.
But
It's
people
been
have
brought
talked to
here.
kids, and he doesn't think kids are here.
So I think it's the dark thing mimicking the kids to make you.
Or
Feel
maybe the
sad.
kids come and go.
They could.
You know?
Now it's.
There is.
There is.
Do you like that people come into the house for tours and investigations?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Out.
That bothers you?
There's
I
another.
hear it thumping.
Yeah, there's 2 thumps upstairs, right above your.
Who's thumping upstairs?
That would be that bar room.
Who,
Kids room.
who's upstairs?
That was a kid. Me.
Demonstration.
Why?
Does it bother you when people come in with all their cameras and
However, you should come up.
probably? Do you want us to go upstairs? Are you upstairs?
I just heard something that said behind. I'm behind.
Behind?
Behind who?
So like there's
It's
walking up
constant
there.
walking upstairs.
Who's walking upstairs?
Were you brought here by someone? Do you like the low energy of this house? Does it feed you?
It's weird.
I don't know.
Does it feed you?
Well, does he thrive?
That's
Does it
scary. I don't want
thrive?
to know.
Does
Yeah.
it thrive on the low?
There's that laugh again.
Do you thrive off of people coming in here and the story being told over and over and over again? Do you like that? Does that feed you or make you feel powerful that the story basically never dies? Can you answer the question that I asked you?
It sounds like anguish.
I'm still waiting for someone to answer my question.
We're family.
God?
There was one.
There was one.
There was one.
I hate when it says one.
Do you have a name you'd like to share with us?
They never knew who the murderer was.
No, but they're pretty positive that it was Reverend Kelly, which was a schizophrenic traveling.
Minister.
Yeah, and he confessed to it. He said all these specific details about it.
So is there anybody here who knows who committed this crime?
So they figured he killed all the children?
He was obsessed with the case.
Wow.
Random.
Stop looking at it. Stop looking at what?
That smells good.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, can you help us with that? Is there anyone here who really knows what happened?
We're here to listen.
Well, how come they could never solve the case?
Every trail they had just led to a dead end.
And the site was contaminated by so many people coming in.
Yeah, the town marshal let 100 people in here and they all handled the murder weapon, they moved the bodies, they took pieces of the skull from the dad as a souvenir.
Just absolutely disgusting.
Do you know the names of any of the Moore family children that died here?
Or the Stillinger girls.
Was it the sleepover girls?
Mm-hmm.
Those poor kids. Just sleeping over and they get killed.
Yeah, imagine that. You let your kids go for a sleepover somewhere, and then they never ever come home.
Yeah.
It was all after church service.
Yeah, like
And apparently
their poor parent. I couldn't imagine. Speaking from a parent's perspective, that would be like your worst nightmare.
And then they lost their infant son the same year.
Poor
Poor thing. Wow.
Yeah. You know what it's trying to do, right?
So
It's
totally trying to tug on the heartstrings.
So where I'm sleeping the night, he was actually hiding there?
He possibly could have been hiding in there right before he did it, yeah. Waiting for them to come home and fall asleep.
Can you tell us how the murderer actually entered the house? Back in those days, a lot of times they probably didn't even lock their doors.
I was gonna say, I don't think there was any sort of forced entry. I heard you covered the mirrors and the bodies and the blinds with clothes and linen.
Yeah, we did.
Is it because you were ashamed of what you've done? Or was it a religious or ritualistic thing that you did?
Is the murders of this house connected to the several other murders that happened in several states?
Was it an actual serial killer?
Now, Reverend Kelly may have been a serial killer because he was a traveling minister.
He was.
But the only thing that doesn't make sense with that is he was so erratic, right? You think he would be caught for the other ones? But I mean,
It depends, because if the police were as
Yeah, but you're going back in the 1800s too. They don't investigate like they do now.
like
1912.
Yeah, they don't investigate.
I'll give you more.
like the police here, they were really
what was the
not great.
And not have the advance like they have now.
Well, in that
Yeah.
time, they didn't have the technology.
They didn't have the technology, so
And
you could actually
they
get
weren't
away with murder.
responsible. They're letting
No
all
problem.
these people run in here
Hey.
like it's a circus. So who's to say that didn't happen in another town? Even Lizzie Borden, that's still unsolved. Was this murder connected to the others? That's what they make Reverend Kelly over
Yeah,
here.
like instantly, it's
Yeah.
like this image flashed in my
Yeah,
head when I
same.
heard that voice.
You
What do
heard
you
that,
guys
didn't
hear?
you?
What?
Like movement or
Moving
something
upstairs. Who's upstairs? The girls. That's what I thought I heard.
We have some different items around
Sure,
that you
you've
can
seen that
touch.
before.
Yeah.
I'm the Reverend. That's what I just heard. He's
See
something.
something.
Will the Reverend talk to us for a minute? We'd like to talk to the Reverend if he's here.
So nobody knows who committed these murders.
No, but
It's
all-
probably the Reverend.
he said
Yeah,
there's
but they don't-
50
they're
different
not
things
sure.
that- he said that there's like 50 different pieces of evidence that point towards Reverend Kelly.
Is there a portal here?
Reverend again.
Is the Reverend here with us?
And I wonder if like the whatever's in here really isn't the Reverend. Just wants to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are they?
I think it maybe
Are they?
plays all roles of everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why people think they're talking to kids, they're talking to parents, they're talking to reverend, they're talking to...
So we don't know who we're
But
talking
is
to.
but is it saying reverend so many times because it's trying to tell us that's who it was?
Could be.
Who killed this innocent family?
Were you hiding in the attic waiting for the family to come home?
Which way did you enter the house to kill these innocent people?
It's right now.
Something right now.
Can you tell me what the murderer did after everyone had already been killed?
Yeah, did he must have left the house.
No, he didn't just leave.
No, he didn't.
He did something specific.
What did he do after everyone in the house was deceased?
He was spying. Gotcha.
Gotcha. The children.
Who called Josiah's brother the morning after the murders?
Maybe it's not giving you an answer because maybe it doesn't know.
Possibly.
Because maybe whatever is here came after the fact.
That's right.
It just said that's right.
Do you enjoy the low frequency of this house? Do you thrive in it?
Maybe it's the minister in this house all the time.
I think it's something that has nothing to do with what happened. I think it's some sort of like dark entity that attached itself to
It likes
the dark energy that murder created in this house.
Likes the vibe of the house.
So who brought the...
And even the Reverend, same as Amityville Horror, the Reverend was saying that
The shadow man told him to do it.
Yeah, something in his head told him to do
And
it.
Johnny told us that nobody woke up when this happened. So the kids weren't cowering and afraid, they were sleeping. They didn't even know their parents were dead.
Unless the kids did hear and they were just so scared they didn't make a sound, right?
Well, if they're so young, they wouldn't even think about it.
They were all really young.
They were young.
Like,
They
they could
wouldn't
just be like blankets overhead.
They wouldn't even do
Yeah.
that. They would just say,
You
what's
know.
he doing? They wouldn't even know what hit them. They wouldn't care.
They wouldn't even know what hit them.
No, they
Yeah,
wouldn't.
they wouldn't have any.
Parents wouldn't have made a noise because they were
No.
just gone. They were gone instantly.
Yeah.
First one's gone for a reason, so the rest of it wouldn't be stopped.
So the rest of it would be easy. Can you tell me why the blunt end of the axe was used?
Where did the murderer get the axe from? Tell me about the murder weapon. Can you tell me where the murder weapon was placed after the fact?
Like I said, I think it doesn't know.
Yeah,
I think it doesn't know because it wasn't here when it happened.
It just likes the house.
I don't know. Something just tells me it wasn't here when it happened.
But because of how many people have come through with the same story, asking the same questions, it may know now.
Think of the thousands of times the story has been told because they have tours every day.
So it's like playing games.
It's thriving off of it. It's thriving off the fact that people are coming in here and feeling sentimental and sorry about that. It's thriving off of all of it. It's just like this big circle that just keeps going round and round.
How is it that you know personal information about the people that entered this house?
Deep.
Why do you know things about people? How is that possible when you haven't met them before?
We've had friends come through here. Do you know who any of those people are?
Sound like a maniacal laugh. Laughing at the fact that it knows things. Tell us something about ourselves. If you know so much about everyone that comes in here, tell us.
Do you know anything about me?
Do you know anything about Paige? Prove it.
I feel like it will later. Maybe it's one of those places where it's gonna study you
Yeah.
first,
So are you going to tell us anything useful about what happened?
or you're just gonna keep laughing about it. As soon as we mentioned the theory that an entity might be mimicking the children in the house, childlike voices came through the portal almost immediately.
All I could think of the time was those poor kids.
I shared my discomfort at the thought of having your children go for a sleepover, only for them never to come home. Paige mentioned that the family had also lost their infant son that same year, and the spirit acknowledged it. It said, "Poor thing." I don't know if it was sympathizing or mocking the scenario.
As we discussed who may have been responsible for these murders, we came to the conclusion that the Reverend may be guilty, because we didn't hear his name once, but twice, suggesting that maybe he was responsible.
Whoever we were communicating with was following our conversation the whole time.
We theorize that the entity thrived on the darkness of these murders, either unaware of the details or indifferent to revealing them. I think that it enjoyed the lack of a confirmed answer, in that it revels in the fact that it confuses investigators. Johnny was right. It 100% plays games with you.
During the portal session, I started feeling really weird. I felt as if I was zoning out. Sherry noticed that I wasn't quite myself, and she had mentioned it later on that day. Given how I was feeling, we decided that it would be best to take a break before we headed upstairs to do a dual Estes session. John's listening. Do you have anything you'd like to say to him?
Go, John. Faster.
Why do you want John to go?
The attic.
Do you want John in the attic?
Who cares?
Why do you want John in the attic?
Curious?
What are you curious about?
You know.
Are you curious about the murders?
I'm allowing
You're allowing what?
you here.
Oh.
Survival. Protected.
Are we protected?
No.
Thanks. Is it safe for us to stay the night?
Covered by blood. Wow.
What was covered by blood?
This house is not safe.
I just heard it say I'm Kelly.
Why isn't this house safe?
What makes this house unsafe?
A dog.
I don't see a dog anywhere.
Hiding something.
A dog.
The information.
Oh,
What was being hidden? What information?
now.
How come?
What happened up here in this room?
I don't know.
Were you here when the murders happened?
I don't know.
We're mad.
What are you mad about?
We're all watching you.
That's fine.
Where are you watching from?
Upstairs.
Can you tell me where you are upstairs?
Keep saying dog. I don't know.
There is something you need to know.
What do we need to know? What's his house?
Die.
Can you tell me the name of one of the children that was killed here?
Are any of the family members still here?
Hide.
Paul? My?
Did the murderer hide in the attic?
Oh. I feel like something's like... You're terrified.
Where to hide?
Where did he hide?
We should be terrified.
Cage. I'm in you.
Sad.
Attempt.
There's no attempts. That's not
In
allowed.
deep. You're gonna regret it.
There's nothing that you can do to us. We are more powerful than you.
We'll look for you.
You can look. But you gotta stay here.
We're a mess.
Why are you a mess?
Soul. Engrave.
When you say we, who are you referring to?
Filthy.
Rhonda.
Cat.
Can you tell me the cat's name? I'm sure you hear it often. She lives here.
Shadow.
I love that cat.
What's her name?
Shadow.
Did the
Sorry.
shadow tell you to commit the murders?
Sorry?
What are you sorry about?
We have memories here.
Killing people.
Why did you do that?
Look at him.
Who?
Why did you kill the family?
Sleeping.
Oh, a kid just laughed.
Sleeping.
How could you hurt innocent children?
Crazy.
You must have been. Are you the person who did the murder?
Yes.
Did you have schizophrenia?
Tell me what your name is.
You're judging me something. That was a really
I
creepy
am
voice.
judging you because what you did was disgusting.
I am bored.
More.
Why did you kill 6 children?
He's out.
Who's out?
The killer.
Said Johnny.
Are you talking about our Johnny or Johnny Hauser?
How?
Friend.
John.
Johnny's been here for 20 years.
Right now, be quiet.
Kill him.
What made you kill? Why?
Bad people.
You're the bad people.
The parents.
You didn't like the parents?
So why'd you murder the children?
Did you know the people?
Didn't know them.
If you didn't know them, then how would you know they were bad?
Any of these women,
The wife.
What about the wife?
What
go
about
outside.
Mistress.
The truth will reveal itself. Oh my god.
goddamn bugs?
The Moors.
What is the truth? If it will reveal itself,
Arthur.
Arthur. Tell me about Arthur.
It's John.
Who's John, Aunt Rhonda?
Was there a John?
I can't remember.
What happened?
That's what we'd like to know.
What was the murder weapon?
Well, I can't tell you.
Why can't you tell me?
What did you use?
You know,
But I want you to tell
It's
me.
bad. It's bad.
I want you to tell me.
swung.
Yeah, what did you swing? Tell me what it was.
I wish it was a hammer.
Is that why you used the blunt end? Were you a large man?
I loved it.
I'm sure you did, because you're disgusting.
He died.
Who died?
Were the children sleeping when you slaughtered them in their beds?
He died.
It just said one girl with 3 boys. I'm not kidding.
It was his employer.
Mommy,
Whose employer?
His employer's name's Frank.
you want to know what the answer is?
Yeah?
The person who killed him was his employer?
Yes.
I'll never tell you.
Once phone tell you.
Bastard.
Forgive him.
No.
Who's a bastard?
Come on.
I will not forgive someone who slaughtered 6 children in their bed while they slept.
I think that was kind of a coward thing to do.
Challenge.
He was out of his mind.
I think he was out of his mind.
Who was it?
It's coming for you.
It's a weapon.
What's a weapon?
Don't stay. The house.
What about the house?
Do you
He
know
knows it was wrong.
The house is evil.
What did the killer do after he murdered everyone in the home? What did he...
Trust me?
I don't really trust too many people. I'm sorry, I don't think I can do that.
I'm God now?
Is that what you think?
You're mine.
Yes.
You think you're God?
Yes.
No, you're not. Maybe in your mind.
David.
What about David?
David.
Don't be frightened. That was really clear.
Who's David?
I'm not afraid of you.
What's his last name?
Servant.
Was this family well off, Tara?
Brown
Probably
hair.
not.
What about the brown hair? They said brown downstairs.
Don't know.
Did the killer have brown hair?
Maybe.
Were you here when it happened?
Stop me.
From doing what?
Not that one.
What do you mean not that one?
Stay.
We
He's
are-
walking around.
Who's walking?
Oh my god.
The priest. The priest.
Is he in the house?
The priest.
Mommy. Absolutely.
Where is he?
Follow him.
Do you think it's
Find him.
Is it something dark? Do you think it's
Minister
You
priest.
need
trying
Jesus
to
in your
blame
account.
the reverend?
He hacked his hands.
There's room up there.
Who was the
I
first
said I'm in
person
the attic.
that he got?
You're in the attic?
The dead father.
And then who was second?
Living
The
here.
mother.
You're living in
And who was third?
Is that where you stayed and waited for the family?
Girl.
The girl?
It just called you guys pussies.
What was her name?
We're not afraid of you.
Do you know her name? I want to know why you did it.
Calling.
Do you like to play games with people?
Do you like to tell people what you think they want to hear?
Yes.
Come to bed with me.
I thought so.
Pass, but thanks for the offer.
Father,
What about the father?
I'll be reborn.
get out.
Are you staying here?
Yes. Where did the murderer leave the weapon after he slaughtered 6
Oh, it was axe.
Good news.
There was an axe?
Where did you leave that axe?
The axe is at rest.
You have to speak to me.
I am speaking to you.
Do better.
Well, what do you want me to ask you?
Why don't you tell us what you want us to know?
My portrait.
Yes.
Where's your portrait? Is it somewhere in this house or in the barn?
Children.
So, it just said stop asking me questions about the murder. No joke. That was so freaking clear.
Okay.
I just want to know why the
Nothing else.
Because
Why the children?
I don't like children. Chop them up.
The Reverend didn't like children.
Well, that's a pretty shitty thing to do.
Railroad.
We heard that the Reverend didn't like children.
I don't like children. Children.
Why? What's wrong with children? They're
I did
innocent.
not do that.
I think I agree with you about something.
What do you agree with us on?
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
No problem. Problem solved.
Faith.
You don't have faith. Did you have faith?
What? Come on. Something.
Oh, listen.
Did the person who killed the Moore family and the Stillinger girls
Just
No.
said we're with you.
go to church the night of the murder? Did they attend
Entered.
Sunday night?
You hear me?
Where did you enter?
Bad girl.
Who's a bad girl?
Was the family home when you entered?
That was like a maniacal laugh.
Was the family home when you entered the house?
Hallway.
How many people are here with us right now talking? Is there one or many?
It said Herman. Clear as day.
Can you tell me the name of
That probably is my best guess.
the 2 girls that were downstairs? Do you know their names?
Killed them.
Why?
Hands of blood.
Where did you get the axe?
How would you know?
I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Something shed 113,000 questions? That's kind of funny.
So you got it from the shed. So you murdered the whole family with their own tool.
Who's beside me?
How do you know personal things about people?
Forcing me to answer.
Yes, I'm asking many times because I want to
Quit
know.
it.
No.
Do you like that people come here to visit?
Yes.
Why?
Visit me.
Well, I'm here right now. I am visiting.
Help me. Who's near me?
They're terrible, aren't they?
Someone's walking near me.
Can you see us right now?
Yeah.
Bloody monster.
There's a battle going on.
What is the battle?
Paranoid.
Is it the battle between good and bad?
This family.
Why did you hurt this family?
Dang.
Dead.
Yeah, why?
It hurts.
That's so sad.
All right. Who's walking? Someone's walking.
The girl. Watch her.
What about the girl?
Is she the one walking?
I'm bored.
Someone's walking beside you.
I'm sorry we're not entertaining for you.
I'm always here.
I'm happy.
Does it make you happy to be here?
Killed them.
Do you like being reminded of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world is not on their
Does
side.
that feed you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hiding.
Where? In the attic?
Mike.
Once.
I'm mad.
Why?
I do have a 4th coming.
What do you mean by that?
I'm right here.
Where?
Struck them.
Do you remember how many times?
Youngest.
What about the youngest?
Suffered.
I think they all suffered.
If this man continues, then we're gonna... I don't know.
So you're gonna tell us why you did it?
Hell.
The two Estes sessions that we conducted upstairs between Paige and John really do speak for themselves. At times, I felt that Paige was talking to an entity that was different than John, and other times, I felt they were talking to the same entity. I truly believe that there were many entities trying to communicate during this session.
Upon review, it was clear that some of the answers we gave were very contradictory. The entity I was talking with was growing increasingly irritable and it was withholding answers, while the entity John engaged with provided straightforward responses.
What blew my mind was when John began listing the order that the family members were killed in. I didn't expect such direct answers on who was next, but to my surprise, every time I asked, he provided one.
Story has it that at 2 a.m., when the train whistles through the town, it awakens the residual energy of the horrific murders. Investigators have reported seeing a ghostly fog drift from room to room, mimicking the steps of the murderer.
Despite Johnny's advice about sticking to a buddy system, Tara ended up sending me into the house alone at 2 a.m. to retrace the steps of the event to see if anything would happen. Alright, so apparently the murderer hid up here in the attic until the family fell asleep, walked out into the parents' room, killed them, then they made their way to the children. What was that? Oh, it's really cold in here. Oh my god. That's an axe mark. Killed the children. I can't see a goddamn thing. And then... Fuck. What was that? And they made their way downstairs. Oh my god. I'm gonna fall. To the Stillinger girl's room. Oh. They were staying here in the parlor. He would have came in here. Right to this bed. Killed the innocent girls that were just sleeping over. But then he made his way back upstairs. He wasn't done. He wanted to go up, oh shit, and cause more chaos than he already did. Just for fun. So he came back up, bludgeoned Josiah over 30 times in the same room he started, and then went back and finished off the rest of the family again. Horrible. I feel weird. I feel like I'm being followed. You're up here with me. Make this go off. That's all you gotta do. This was very hard, by the way, because I can't see a thing. I'm just looking through a little screen to try and make my way through. What is that? Johnny literally told us not to split up, and look what we're doing. Okay, here I go again. What the hell's that? Oh my god. Church. Scared me. What are you doing? Yeah, run upstairs. I'm done. Not much happened during my walkthrough. The only odd thing that stuck out to me was this rattling noise I heard by the dresser twice. Other than that, it wasn't too bad. The scariest part was Church walking in on me when I was coming down the stairs.
For our final investigation, we decided to conduct a spirit box session in the attic. Now, there were a multitude of reasons for this. First, there's a haunted doll in there. Second, John was about to sleep in there. And third, that is where we believe, and many others believe, that the murderer hid before these murders took place.
That doll up in the attic, the one in the middle, the bald one with no legs, I found that on the side of the road. And then I shipped it off to 100 other haunted locations to marinate in throughout the years. Adam, put this in your asylum. When you're done, send it to Terry at Ashmore, and he's going to send it to, I get it back here. I have all this dirt from Manson murder sites, Ed Gein's farmland, Dahmer's apartment, Conjuring House, Gettysburg, Lizzie Boy, like all this weird dirt. And I thought, I'm going to combine all that dirt together and fill that doll with it, create my own Annabelle and sell it to Zach Baggins and retire, which was a joke, but I really did all this stuff. I threw it up in the attic, never said a word about it, and come these notes. Please read this to the doll. I'm sorry for taking your picture, yada yada. Over the last couple years, 3 different teams asked what its name was. The first team goes, yeah, we asked the doll what its name was, and we got Emily. I said, okay. Second team, we asked what the doll's name was, and it said Emily. Huh. Third team, we asked what the doll's name was, it said Emily. Uh-oh. Whoops. My bad, guys. So, it'd be interesting if you get anything from that doll. Like, it's almost to the point where that doll is taking over stuff that happens. And, like, it's... There for a while, it's, like, no longer stuff with the Axe House. It was stuff surrounding that doll. To where I'm really thinking I'm going to have to get, like, a glass case and some holy water and blessed medallions and lock it in there, maybe get it out of the house. Like, and it was a big joke to me, but it's like, this is working.
Yeah.
I think whatever we were speaking to in the attic knew us.
We heard that there's a doll in here that's been to many other haunted locations. What's your name? We heard that you have a name.
Afraid.
I am afraid.
Should we be afraid? Should any of us be afraid?
Ghost.
Oh,
What?
you didn't touch a chair, did
No,
you?
I didn't touch nothing. How do you move?
Thank you for doing that.
Can you light up more?
There's some other ones around. There's
Don't worry about what they say.
This thing gives you long sentences.
Don't worry about what they say.
What's the name of this bald doll behind us that Johnny picked up? Please, man. What other places has she been to? Johnny shipped her around to other haunted locations. Can you tell me one of them?
TV show.
You might think we're making a TV show.
Are we making a TV show?
Where's Daddy?
Are any of the Moore family still in this house?
Anyway, that's my bad.
Do you know where we traveled from?
We traveled from far. Oh, just the dark thing. Okay, straight up to that.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Apple. Apple. As soon as I asked if we want to talk to it. Whatever, malevolent spirits here.
Who is the malevolent spirit in this house? Do you have anything to do with the murders?
The information you need.
That's the information we need. Listen.
We're listening.
A dollar? What is that? There's dollars into the root food. Is it? Yeah.
Okay. Are you part of the land?
It's ours, something. Awaken. Have we woken something up? Stop. I can't take my eyes off the door.
Are we safe in this house?
You're not safe.
Let's make this happen right now.
It's a different one now. It is. It's the one with the dolls. I kind of want to put it in front of us.
Where are you?
Hold back.
Can you see us?
Ow! What? Something just pinched me under my arm.
How about me too over here?
It's a doll,
As soon as I
probably.
moved the ball.
Who's touching us? Who pinched Paige and who touched me? Do you remember any of our names?
That's something. You're gonna be up there sleeping.
Who's going to be in here with me tonight? Am I safe in here tonight?
Can you give us a sign that you're here with us? Can you knock over one of these dolls?
And a permanent resident.
Permanent residency, but I don't know if that's right.
Alright.
They called him.
Who did you call?
Is there something here that influences people to do things?
Are you watching us?
Stop it.
Stop.
I knew them.
Did the Moors know the person that killed them?
Hi.
What's so dark in there?
I want to know why it's such a.
He doesn't want you to know. He'll never tell us.
Every time you say the dark thing, cat ball.
Different one.
Why can't we know who you are?
I just want to know why.
What was that?
I want to know why it like affects people so emotionally. And,
Family.
Why is the dark entity in this house affecting people emotionally? We heard that the dark thing knows personal things. We heard that you know personal things about people.
Have you learned anything about us tonight? I thought I just heard a noise. Go ahead, tell us something personal. Or any one of us.
There's no difference.
There's no
There's no
difference.
difference between what?
I didn't touch the last one.
Terrible event.
We're going to talk about the other axe murders and the differences.
I was just thinking that.
Are the axe murders all related? Were they all committed by the same person?
What can you tell us about Reverend Kelly? Keep seeing something low to the ground and black kind of outside the door. Kind of float this way and it comes back. It's that way. I don't know what it is.
Your eyes pretty picture in the dark.
It's like the floor is like
See?
if you see us, how many of us are here? Five. It's 5 of us.
5 of us. I don't think it's 4. It sounded like. So will I be able to sleep here tonight?
Will you allow John to sleep in here with you?
It's really, really cold.
It's really cold. Am I allowed to sleep in here tonight?
Trust me.
Uh-oh.
Just said trust me.
There's another one going off behind me this time. Whoa.
It said trust me right at the end.
Trust who?
I don't know, whatever we're talking to. It keeps saying trust me. Well, this gotta do EVPs.
Is there anyone in here with us right now?
Is there someone on the stairs?
Is this the dark spirit that affects people?
For fuck's sake. Every time we mention it, the cat ball goes off. Wow.
The dark spirit.
Hopefully you'll see it flashing if you can't see it on camera. See it lighting up the roof.
Why are you here?
That was him.
That was you. Do you want to listen? So it's not too loud?
Yeah.
That was me. Is there anyone in here with us right now?
What's the name of the doll behind me?
Can you tell me the name of one of the Stillinger sisters? Have you been watching this all night?
Who was the first person who was murdered in the house?
What's the name of the doll behind me? Alright.
Okay.
Where's your cot?
Oh my. Don't do that.
Where's your cot?
I don't know.
Are you gonna just use your sleeping bag?
No, I don't think I'll go to sleep on this hardcore.
Throughout the session, we heard several names that we recognized, including our own, but there was one in particular that stuck out to us. Ernie.
Ernie was my dad that passed away 10 years ago.
Our grandfather's name coming through was especially significant for Paige and I, as this was the first major loss that her and I ever experienced in our family.
I knew something personal would come up at least once that night. We heard countless stories from others, and Johnny had warned us. It was inevitable.
We didn't hear the name Ernie in person. I heard it when I was reviewing the footage. And at that moment, I was just like, whoa, okay, there it is, a name from our past. Exactly what Johnny said would happen.
Now, something notable that happened during this investigation was that without fail, the cat ball would light up every time that the dark entity was mentioned by anyone in the room.
So after all that, they still made me sleep in the attic.
John sleeps where people shouldn't sleep.
There.
Night.
Yeah, shut the fucking door for no air. Fuck is all. You clowns don't keep me awake tonight. I'll strangle yous. One by one. Fuck this. I love you, all you guys. You're the best. Hallelujah. Fucking green. You ever brought it up? With a cookie? With a fucking cookie. Fucking think so. Yeah, fine. Stop moving. I don't trust anybody. Oh. 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 Something on my head. Yeah. Get away from me. I'm spiking like crazy. Who is this? Leave it! I'm just picking their head. Oh. Is someone in here with me? Who is it? Fuck this, I'm going to sleep. Fucking clowns just went off. There's a fucking bell. I'm not scared of yous. There you get that REM pod and go off. Double dare you. Yes, there is. I am. Fuck. Making fucking noises. Fuck are you doing? Dumb bitch. Yeah. You killed him. No, 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 no. He's frozen. Why am I frozen? He's alright. He's alright. In the basement? Yeah. He's a great man. Ow! Fuck! That hurts. Jesus fucking Christ. There. Fuck this. You want to be safe. No! remember. I don't remember. Oh, come here, you cunt.
Leaving John in the most uncomfortable spots to sleep, knowing that he sleep talks, has led us to some of our best evidence.
The rest of us, as usual, slept quite soundly, but John had a horrible night.
They made me sleep in there on those damn cushions. They were falling out from underneath my back. My neck was killing me. My back was killing me. My hip was killing me.
Despite John's struggles, we ended up capturing a variety of voices through the night. The one that stood out to me the most was what sounded like a woman saying, "Tell me, where is the children?" It was just sad. The Villisca Axe Murder House is likely the darkest case we've ever encountered. It was a deeply sad place to investigate, fascinating in our attempt to understand what happened, but ultimately leaving us with a profound sense of sorrow.
The energy in that place was like none I had ever felt before. It was as if my head was in a vice the entire time that I was inside. As soon as I would go outside, the headache would lift.
I personally don't know who committed these murders. I think there are a number of people who could have been responsible, but I really don't think we'll ever know. I think maybe the house has the answers and it's just not willing to share them, or maybe whatever entity is there has nothing to do with the murders that were committed.
I think Reverend Kelly was the murderer, just based off the evidence that we collected and the things that Johnny has told us. However, there's something more to this house than meets the eye. Something darker.
All I gotta say is whoever killed that poor family and those children, I hope they're paying for it in the afterlife because they deserve everything they fucking get.
That's in the Sally house.
Yeah, we heard it has the same address and stuff.
Yeah,
I
so.
don't know about that. We're going tomorrow. So.